Are you ready?
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions.
I was right.
Let's go!
I'm the best.
And here are your hosts, Jessica Town and Rob Lange.
You're a jackass.
Embrace the madness.
That's right. We have entered the intro world. We have entered the intro world. And welcome with that to the madness, but not just any madness, ladies and gentlemen. It is week 1 of the NFL season. It has crept up on us mighty quickly, but it's here whether we want to admit it or not.
Was it quickly?
In the sense that without a preseason, I feel like it was just like you woke up one day and were like, oh, the season starts this week. That's cool.
Yeah. It was like we were actually talking about it today. Like it was the longest and shortest. Like it doesn't feel like we've been sitting here for 6 months. Like it doesn't feel like it's dragged on. But then you think about the first week that we were all kind of stuck inside and you're like, okay, that seems like it was like 17 years ago.
Yeah.
Somewhere between there. Like it doesn't make sense. So
That's right. That's right, my guy. Listen, and by the way, I'm going to introduce who we are in our show and who brings us in a minute. But I knew I could count on my man Cali Dream to notice the fresh cut.
I love it.
Today was the first day the seniors were back in school. And when I tell you the number one storyline around Gloucester Catholic today was not everyone wearing masks and face shields, was not us just being as safe as we possibly could be during COVID-19. It was that Mr. Lange has hair, and the question of how it happened came up quite a few times with many people thinking I'm using Rogaine. I just want to make this very clear.
Tell us your secret.
To all of you that I am not using Rogaine. I jumped the gun on the shaving of the head by like 5 years, apparently. It's growing in fine to the point where I got to get nice little fresh shape-ups and look kind of good. And I'm proud of it. So, I'm excited today. It's an exciting day on every level.
Time to be alive.
Great time to be alive. So with that, this is The Madness, brought to you by thepainted.lines.com, where hopefully you're watching on the Painted Lines YouTube channel, Facebook. I believe it's up on the Painted Lines Periscope as well. So make sure you're commenting the whole show. We'll pop your comments up. We'll talk back with you. We love getting into it with people, Jess, especially, as you all know. If you follow my wonderful co-host Jessica Town at RunThisTown13. Jess, football is back.
Football. I'm so excited.
Not only is it back, and we kind of did this on purpose, we will actually be watching the first live game. We'll start while we are on the air talking about things, and we'll give you your whole NFL preview. No, this is not the normal 9 weeks we dedicate to it. This is going to be the 75-minute condensed version of our NFL preview. So I think what you'll see us do is we'll kind of go over the top storyline or two from each division, give you who we think will win each division. Then we'll get into the NFC East, the Philadelphia Eagles, and everything going on there. And I'm going to say this now, Jess. And, let me tell you, while Wild West was on with us on Party on Broad this week, this guy, we don't know if it's a burner account. We don't know what's going on, but this guy is he's into it, man. I love his passion. I saw him tweet this earlier this week, and we're not going to talk a lot of basketball today, but
I'm the biggest Toronto Raptors fan in the entire world right now.
Oh my God. I was rooting so hard for them last night.
You know how much I can't stand Kyle Lowry and the way he plays. Yeah. I hate everything about it. I was full-fledged Kyle Lowry, like Philly pride the other night, and it was a magical time.
Yeah, we can't have Jimmy Butler versus the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. And
I hate out my Jimmy Butler jersey, I'll tell you that much. I still might, honestly.
Yeah, no, I don't hate Jimmy Butler, right? I've made it very clear. It's, for me, watching him play is painful right now. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of like, what could have been. But yeah, sure. I hate the Celtics and the pain on the other side. Too much of that. Oh, my God, Andy Reid's got a face shield on, and he is fogging the hell out of it up. Wonderful.
I cannot wait.
That's outstanding. Love it. I love it. So anyway, I want to put this out there early that by the end of tonight's episode, Jess, you for sure, and my assumption is many other in the Delaware Valley, whether they're watching now or they catch us on the replay of the podcast, are going to have me on a list of people they would like to, shall we say, injure. Okay, I'm not going to tell you why yet, but I'm just going to let you know that there's something that's going to happen during the course of the show where I'm going to be thoroughly thrilled that me and you are not in the same studio.
Oh, jeez. That bad?
Yeah. Yeah, this is really bad. This is really bad, and I've tried to get out of this one, and I'm just not. So we'll get to that. That'll be the end of the show.
Great.
So everyone tune in for that one. Jess is like, I don't want to. Jess might leave before the end of the show.
I might, honestly. I don't like, and you're gonna wait till the end just to like make me mad and then exit the show. That's tough.
No. I'm not gonna just exit the show. I'll let you yell at me first. Okay. All right, so there it is. We now know who Wild Wild West is. He's good friends with Mr. Crockpot's wife, so that's where he comes from. We appreciate you tuning in. We hope you enjoy the madness. So, Jess, let's get started. Let's go over to the AFC. We have a matchup taking place tonight. The Super Bowl champions come from the AFC West. Let's start with the AFC West. If you had to think of a storyline out of the AFC West, what would it be for you?
I mean, I guess the biggest storyline that I guess, I mean, recency bias is kind of taking over is, I guess, Von Miller getting hurt. And, especially after he was having some complications after having the coronavirus, he then also gets hurt and his season is ended with an ankle tendon injury. That's kind of as much specificity as we have at this point on that. And not only did he get hurt today, Courtland Sutton got hurt as well. So they're two, kind of biggest players on both ends of the ball going down with injuries. Now, what was it? It was an AC joint sprain.
Yeah, Sutton's was a lot better than what they expected. They were expecting at the end of the
year. I think their young receiving core with, oh, crap, Kansas City has fans in the stands.
17,000, I think, is what they allowed into the stands, and the 22% of the stadium capacity.
Sorry, it was one of those things that Sam and I were talking about during Babes on Pod the other day, and talking about where it plays in, because all the stadiums.
I didn't know either.
I think Pittsburgh is going to have fans, but obviously Philly can't, so it's all over the place. Anyway, Washington can't. They usually don't anyway, so this is no different than a regular season for them. But that's neither here nor there. But I think the biggest storyline for me, I think, is the young receiving core of the Denver Broncos. And I think they're a team that could surprise some people. I think Drew Lock has some sneaky good talent in himself. And the way that he carries himself on the field, I think is kind of everything you want in a quarterback. It's not as aggressive and in your face as a Gardner Minshew and the mustache and the jean shorts. And it's not as in your face as that kind of crap, but he's got a little bit of a swagger to him, which I kind of like. And, you combine a KJ Hamler and a Jerry Jeudy and a Courtland Sutton. I think that's a really good young offensive team. You also have, oh my God, why am I blanking on the running back's name? What's the running back's first name?
Phillip Lindsay and Melvin Gordon.
I was thinking Peyton Lindsay, and I knew that wasn't right. Yeah. Phillip Lindsay, they also have Melvin Gordon. So I think they've got some interesting things there I still think the Chiefs are going to win that division, pretty much no question. But I think they are definitely in contention for a wild card spot in the AFC.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. I think Denver will surprise people. They also have a great – listen, for a young quarterback to have a solid tight end as your security blanket, it's always good. And they have Noah Fant there, young kid, good. So there's weapons on that offensive side of the ball. Now on defense, what are they going to be? You lose your heart and soul. That's never easy. But they could surprise people. I kind of agree with you. I'm going to go with a different storyline, though. You could always go, will Kansas City repeat? But that's boring. What I want to go with is, who will the Las Vegas Raiders be? Will they be the same team that we've seen in Oakland and LA that, just are just another team in the league? Or does Derek Carr take another step? Does Henry Ruggs III provide something that they had hoped to get from, say, an Antonio Brown before Antonio Brown lost his damn mind. John Gruden signed a long-term deal, a very lucrative deal. And now they're moving to Las Vegas, right? I mean, everything from the publicity standpoint is there. But they got to start winning football games or it's all for naught.
Right.
And for the second straight year now, I'm looking at this team and I'm going, I don't know how good they're going to be. I mean, would they be better than that last year? Maybe. But are they going to contend for a playoff spot? I don't know if you could say that right now.
I don't even think they'll contend in a playoff spot, even though it's an expanded playoff.
Yeah.
And I still don't think that anything that they have done, I mean, I guess drafting Henry Ruggs was exciting. It was exciting because he was the first guy off the board in a group of really amazing receivers. But, it's not anything that's going to change my opinion of where they're going to go or how they're going to do.
Right.
They don't excite me. They don't really have much that excites me. And especially in a division where, you do have Patrick Mahomes and this Chiefs offense that can do unimaginable things. And then you've got, like we said, kind of a sneaky good talent like the Denver Broncos. And, are the Chargers going to give you anything? Probably not. How many games does Tyrod Taylor start before before they switch over? Like, you don't really know. But I still think they're just kind of There's nothing exciting about them, and there's really nothing for fans from Oakland and new fans in Las Vegas to get overly excited about.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. The most exciting thing about the Raiders is probably they're playing in Las Vegas now. And that's not necessarily a positive thing. Mrs. Crockpot checking in with a little football is finally back. I think we are all super excited. Thank you, Nicole, for tuning in with the madness tonight as we prepare you for what we hope is a full NFL season with no setbacks. I think that is the number one goal here is let's have a full NFL season. Right now, the Super Bowl banner is about to be dropped in Kansas City. And with that, as we found out a few years ago, once that banner drops and the teams take the field, last year is done and we are on to this year. All right, just real quick on this division, I think we both are kind of in agreement here that it's Kansas City, then Denver second. I would go the Chargers third and the Raiders fourth. I don't know how you feel about that.
I just don't really know what you're going to get from the – I mean, I think it's a toss-up. I think they could both be a 5-11, 6-10. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're going to be less than that. I don't think it's going to be a 3-13 or 4-12 kind of thing. I see 5-11. 6-10 is probably more likely for both of them. But I just think that – I mean, they just lost Derwin James. Yeah. They don't have Melvin Gordon anymore. Now, Austin Eckler is a decent running back, and he did really well for them last year. But, Tyrod Taylor is still starting at quarterback. How long, I think he should be a starting quarterback. I think he could be. What will he give you? You don't know. Now, their receivers are great, but, wow, that's a serious banner.
Yeah.
No joke banner.
You have a nice delay for me because that banner dropped about 25 seconds over here.
I know. I don't understand why we did the fire. Good Lord, they're going to set everything on fire.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. But I think they're kind of equally as like.
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree with you. I really don't. I don't disagree with you on this. I just think even without Derwin James, I think that that Los Angeles Chargers defense is still pretty solid. And I think that they have weapons surrounding Tyrod Taylor. And if Hunter Henry can stay healthy, that's just another weapon that they can still be a decent team, not a playoff team, but a decent enough team. So that's why I give them the third spot. But I agree with you. It probably can go either way.
Yeah, I just think it's one of those things that it's, neither of them excite me. And I don't think I'll remember to check at the end of the year which one of them had the better record because they're both going to be completely irrelevant probably by like week 8.
Well, let's be real. You normally write these down every year and then we never remember them anyway. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, that's just the way it is. All right. So with that, we'll move over to the other team that's playing tonight, and that's the Houston Texans, who are in the AFC South.
Mm-hmm.
Here you have the Jaguars, the Colts, the Titans, coming off of their AFC Championship run last year, and obviously the Houston Texans. So just storylines in the AFC South. What are your thoughts?
I think obviously the biggest storyline in the AFC South is DeAndre Hopkins is no longer a Texan.
Yeah.
And just got paid lots and lots of money in Arizona. I also think that, obviously another one down there is the Jaguars, like somehow were a drive away from the Super Bowl 3 years ago and are right back to sucking unimaginable amounts. I mean, they're right back to being the joke of the NFL. Like, how does that happen? Talk about a fall from grace.
It happens when your organization from the top down is inept. Let's put it this way. A la the 76ers. Last year, they were 4 bounces away from the Eastern Conference Finals. This year, they're swept out of the first round. Their coach is fired, and there's a lot of questions about what's going on, and a lot of that comes from the front office. And I think the Jaguars as an organization has been inept for the longest time, and they had a flash-in-the-pan season and then started pissing people off. You lose Yannick, you lose Jalen Ramsey because you're screwing them.
Why? For the brand, Austin.
Leave it alone, Austin.
Brand.
So in case you're missing this, Austin can't help himself. He can't help himself. He cannot help himself.
Jason soft. But I think the AFC South has so many storylines in it. I think it's obviously the Jags' fall from grace is a huge one to kind of look at. They give Nick Foles all that money and trade him away. Now Gardner Minshew is the starting quarterback. The Colts now have Phillip Rivers as their starting quarterback. And what are you going to do there? And then the Titans gave Ryan Tannehill too much money and are just kidding themselves with that when they should just throw all of their dollars at Derrick Henry because he's the reason they got anywhere. So I think there's a lot of really interesting things going on down there.
Yeah. And Philly fan PSU checks in with your first thought, be interested to see how Watson does without that high level or at a high level without a number one receiver. And that's a great point. Look, he's got Will Fuller who has potential, but the guy can't stay healthy.
Right.
Brandon Cooks is now on his 3rd or 4th team
can't stay healthy.
And can't stay healthy. Look, David Johnson has a chance to have that new same face, new place and build. But once again, can he stay healthy? There's a lot riding on the health on these offensive weapons. If they do, Deshaun Watson's a good enough quarterback where they could still be a successful team. But
can they protect him?
Yeah, can they protect him?
One offensive line does not deserve Deshaun Watson.
I really wish they would have got Andre Dillard. That would have been wonderful. But no, we had to trade up for him. That was great. Good job. Good job, Howie. Good job, Howie. We'll be getting to that in a little bit. Anyway, don't even get me started.
Oh, I see you're already started.
Mm-hmm. Just a tad bit. So my big storyline, you mentioned Phillip Rivers, is what does Phillip Rivers do this year with Frank Reich as his head coach? And listen, I think the Indianapolis Colts are slept on right now. I think everyone thinks that, Phillip Rivers is too old and it's never going to work. And I just caution people on that because Phillip Rivers has always been a guy that has put up decent numbers but hasn't been able to win, whether it be mistakes by him or just not as strong. Listen, he's got a young running back in Jonathan Taylor to go along with Marlon Mack in the backfield. T.Y. Hilton is still a very good receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's got a coach who we have seen personally do wonders with a quarterback in Frank Reich. I think the Colts defense is legit this year. I think people are sleeping on their defense. I think that the Colts are going to really shock some people, and I'm probably going to jump on the bandwagon now and say that they are going to be the division winners. I just have this feeling that here's a Phillip Rivers last chance. What happens from here? Is it retirement? Is it another year? We don't know. And I'm not saying that they're going to be a Super Bowl team, but I think they're going to be pretty good, and I think their defense, along with the veteran leadership of Phillip Rivers, under the tutelage of Frank Reich, is going to get them the division. So I am going to jump out on a limb do my first hot take of the NFL season 5 minutes in and say the Indianapolis Colts are going to win the division, and I'll put them at 11-5, just like Wild Wild West says.
I mean, remember what happened the last time you tried to do this with Phillip Rivers? Remember that? Remember that time?
Why do you always got to bring up old stuff, Jess?
Because you're doing it again.
No, but that was the whole team. I bought it. I'm buying in with this. Frank Reich is an excellent coach. The defense.
You bought in with the whole team before. It was you thought Phillip Rivers was finally going to do it, and the receivers that they have, and they had the running back, and the defense was so good, and
coach.
Blah blah blah.
Ricky, I just want to let you know I'm not ignoring this question. What's that?
My grandma.
Oh, grandma. All right, listen. We are not ignoring this question, and don't you worry, there will be a lot of talk about this question later on the show. This is one of the things that I'm going to get on my soapbox about. As Jess, I was so thrilled to see you tweet that out today because I was like, all right, good. At least one thing today, we will be in agreement, and me and Jess will be happy.
Yes.
One
and only thing.
I've told you that I believe the Colts are going to win the division. I do believe a wild card will come out of this division, whether it being out for the sake of an argument, I'll put Tennessee because I still think Tennessee's a decent team. I think they're really well coached. And now they just added Jadeveon Clowney to the mix out there for that defensive line. So I like them.
He is the most overrated player in the NFL.
Yeah, guess what? If Derek Barnett doesn't have a sack against a no-name left tackle this week, I'm screaming Jadeveon Clowney's name from the rooftops. Just putting that out there. So, Jess, who's winning the division for you and is a wild card coming out of this division?
I think the Texans are going to win this division. I think that I just think that Deshaun Watson is going to do it. I think he's got the motivation, and especially after kind of seeing, I think it's a very weird thing that I think he's got going on, because I think that there was definitely a chance that he might have felt slighted to start the summer, but they do have all of the confidence in him. And I think that he is going to kind of put the team on his back in a way, and he's going to kind of will them to that division win. I'm not buying into anything you just said about the Indianapolis Colts. I think that's ridiculous. I think Phillip Rivers.
Tell me how you really feel, Jess.
So Phillip Rivers is one of those guys who I don't love, and I want to like him, but I just don't. He's one of those who he freaks out and whines and cries a lot, and it really bothers me. And you know how much that irks me about any player at all. And he's one of those, he's always screaming and throwing his helmet, and he's just a giant baby. And I don't have respect for that at all. Just as a human, I just don't. It's how I feel about Jason Tatum. It's how I feel about Phillip Rivers. It all falls under the same umbrella. That's where that comes from for me. So I just think that he just gets frustrated and whines and cries and throws his helmet, and when things don't go the right way for him. And, I do think they have a good defense out there. I don't disagree with that. And I think they've got good players, but, he's had some of the best previously. He's had Melvin Gordon. He's had the Keenan Allens. He's had the Antonio Gates, and gone nowhere. So I just don't see, I still don't see him, kind of changing that around. Especially getting up there in age and in terms of football years. I just think he's going to be outdone, and I think Deshaun Watson's really going to show out. I don't know if a wild card team is going to come out of this division. I think there are a couple other teams in the AFC that
is it 2 more spots or 1 more spot that's been added this year? That's what
I think it's 1.
There's 1. So there's 3 wild card teams.
Yeah.
And there's only 1 bye. So the number 1 seed gets a bye, but the second seed actually has to play in the first weekend against the lowest. Okay. So as I'm going through our playoffs, I'm thinking, oh, wait a minute, I got to pick a 3rd wild card this year. That's going to happen.
Yeah. So I think there's a couple other teams in the AFC that are sneaky good.
Okay.
That I think might surprise even me about how good they are. I think they're going to be good, but I think they might outdo kind of my predictions. And I don't know if there's going to be two of the three will come out of this division. I don't know about that.
They're breaking. They seem to be breaking social distancing rules for the coin toss. They're all bro hugging like there's no tomorrow.
I mean, they're playing football and tackling each other.
They're doing a moment of silence as teams out on the field for social equality right now. They're all lining up out on the field, but I was a little confused there for a minute. But they're lining up, locking arm in arm. You're 35 seconds behind, so you'll see it at some point.
They're bro hugging right now. That is what I'm currently seeing is the bro hug.
By the way, before we get too far away, one of our fearless leaders at the Painted Lines, Brian Baker, I do agree with Rob that the Colts defense is legit. But that's also because I happened to draft them in my fantasy draft last night. So here's hoping. And I agree with you. That's one of the reasons why I'm with you. Wild West checked in. Well, if this was a prove-it year for Dillard, that's not necessarily a good thing since he's hurt for the year. So I hope it wasn't. But regardless, I don't think he has any value anyway right now because he hasn't done anything. So honestly, in my opinion, you wouldn't have got it.
It really does look ridiculous on Andy.
All right, so I've gotten two teams out of this division getting a playoff spot. You've gotten one. Last in the West, I have the Chiefs, but I do not have the Broncos getting one. I think they can fight for it, but I don't have them in yet.
I think they get one.
Okay, so we'll go up to the AFC North, where the Baltimore Ravens had high expectations going into the playoffs and ran into the buzzsaw that was Derrick Henry and were eliminated in the second round. You have the Pittsburgh Steelers getting Ben Roethlisberger back. We'll see how long that lasts, as I don't remember the last time he finished.
Ben. Huh? They got skinny Ben. He lost a bunch of weight and apparently looks super quick. Like it was like one of the best things that could have happened to him.
Well, we shall see.
He did the opposite of what most of us did and actually lost some LBs in quarantine.
Yeah, I don't know how that was possible. I mean, I did for a little bit, but then they came back.
I got nothing.
Weird how that happens.
Yeah.
Philly fan PSU, yes, keep Ben off the motorcycle. Keep him out of the bars because you want to talk about a scumbag of a human being. I never will get over the scumbag of a human being that Ben Roethlisberger is.
Nope.
The Cleveland Browns, well, what can we say about the Cleveland Browns these days outside of the color that they have on their uniform? I think Odell Beckham likes really, 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 really a lot to wear. And I'm just going to leave it there, Jess. I'm not going to say another word about it. I mean, listen, shit happens.
I'm not going any further.
It happens, and we.
And that's it for me. Good night. I'm logging out. I can't do it. I can't.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. No, we're done. No, we're not going. We could go down that rabbit hole if we want to, but you're not going to like what you find. So we're not going down it. And then the Cincinnati Bengals and one of the Bayou Bullies himself, Joe Burrow, who I loved watching play quarterback. I love this swag. I love everything about this kid. He's a kid that I am going to pull for his entire career. I just love everything about Joe Burrow. I look at him and I think like he's like a Johnny Manziel without like totally sabotaging his whole life, if that makes sense, right? Like Johnny Manziel had skills, but he was also just sabotaging the hell out of himself.
Weren't you supposed to like figure out this whole tomahawk chop thing as well? Wasn't that supposed to be part of this?
Yeah, are they doing it?
Yeah, they all did it. I watched the entire stadium just do it.
Yeah, that wasn't supposed to happen, but I don't believe.
Figure it out.
All right. And which brings up Wild West said, are the Chiefs next team to change their logo? And the answer to that is probably not. There was a lot of talk about that, but where a Redskin was a derogatory term, a chief was the name of the, highest in a tribe. And I think, that's where the thought process has been there. That's where the Cleveland Indians, once again, they said they're not going to change it because change the name because it's not necessarily a derogatory term. I don't know how I feel about all that.
It was supposed to be, it was then not allowed. They weren't allowed to do any sort of face paint or the headdresses that they were wearing to games. That was also supposed to be the tomahawk chop that they do. Like the Braves were supposed to address that, and so were the Chiefs. And I just watched all 22% of the people that are there do it right now. Like, and that's the thing. Like, I don't know how you crack down on that. I don't know how you. I don't know how to do it.
I mean, it's got to be hard. What are you going to do? Throw everybody out of the stadium?
Yeah, I don't know how you do. They need to find a way to do so. They absolutely have to figure out a way to do it. I don't know the solution to that problem, but they need to figure it out and execute that solution.
And I am glad I'm bringing the laughs early, and I'm bringing them hard this season. But when the material just writes itself, all you got to do is talk. You know what I mean? And the material here wrote itself. We have John Matt checking in. What do you think of this one? Cam Newton.
I think they're going to be a wild card team. I do.
You don't think they win the division for the first time in?
No.
Yeah. Well, we will get to the AFC East in a minute. So with the AFC North, I'm going to give you my biggest storyline first.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's the biggest, but it's one that I'm looking at. I already mentioned it. What does Joe Burrow do in year one? Listen, the expectations can't be high on this guy. I mean, he is coming to a putrid team that was really bad last year. But I really want to see how this kid handles himself, and it happens a lot when these kids come from these big programs that win all the time. How do they handle themselves when they're in a situation where they're probably going to lose more games than they win this year? How does he handle that? How does he look? Does he look poised and all that stuff? So Joe Burrow is kind of my guy in the AFC North that I'm going to be watching a lot of.
I agree. And I think he's one of those guys that people are going to underestimate coming in. Like, I think, for example, the Philadelphia Eagles week 3, I think that's a game that they need to pay better attention to than you would think they would in the – like, I just think it's one of those – he's one of those guys that is going to come out and surprise some people, and they're going to win a few games that they have no business winning because people are, they're caught with their pants down and kind of.
And I think he's one of those guys that has it too. I think he's got that swag factor and the skills to back it up. And look, I know AJ Green's battle. He's got a nice weapon in Tyler Boyd. He's got a nice safety blanket in Joe Mixon. I think I don't think the Bengals are only going to be a 3 or 4 win team this year. I don't think they're going to be more than a 6-win team at best. But I don't think they're like 2-14 this year.
No, I think they win more games than the Browns, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I think they could. The Browns are such an interesting thing. I mean, it's a shame because there's so much talent on that offensive side of the ball. I just wonder what they were thinking with the coaching decisions that they've made there over the past exit. Talk about another organization that just has been a net.
And their number 1 overall pick a couple years ago. I still think he's garbage.
Baker?
Yeah, he sucks.
Yeah, I like Baker. Baker's another one.
I don't like Baker even remotely.
I don't think that they have the offensive line has not been good, and they have such a weird array. Like, here's the thing: you got a guy in Nick Chubb, who I think could be a really good running back in this league, but then you have Kareem Hunt breathing down his neck.
They just signed him to a 2-year extension.
Who?
Kareem Hunt. They just gave him a 2-year deal.
Well, that's what I mean. So it's like, so what are you doing with that running back position? Are you thinking, well, we have 2 really good ones? Well, that's a good idea to a certain extent, but I don't know. I don't know how that whole thing manifests itself. So, Jess, quickly, who do you have winning this division? And is there a wild card team?
I have the Ravens winning this division. I think that they're not a team that I think that was kind of a one-hit wonder kind of year. I think that they have a really good football team and they've got some really good players in there on both sides of the ball. I think Lamar, regardless of how long he's in the league and how many accolades he gets, he's still going to always kind of have that motivation and chip on his shoulder because so many people still now say that he, isn't a quarterback and should be a running back. And I think that's something that's kind of never going to leave him as long as he plays in the NFL. So I think that they are still going to be a really good football team this year. So I think they win the division. And I truthfully, I think possibly the Steelers, but I think it's going to be a lot more competitive for those wild card spots between teams like the Steelers, the Patriots, the Titans, the Broncos. I think all of those teams it's going to come down to tiebreakers.
Yeah,
I think, and I don't think I think the Steelers maybe squeak in, but I wouldn't put my money there.
All right, and I agree with you on the Ravens. I think this is their division to lose at this point. I think they are just so talented. And then, they had another piece to the arsenal on offense with J.K. Dobbins, who I think is a great, second back to Mark Ingram. And I think
I wanted the Eagles to draft him.
Yep, yes. And I do believe that at some point J.K. Dobbins will surpass Mark Ingram and start getting a lion's share of the carries. I just think this kid's a stud. The only difference I have with you is I think Pittsburgh is going to get that wild card. I think, last year was a tough year. If Ben is what they say, leaner, more fit, and can stay healthy, look, I think Juju has a bounce back year. I love this kid, Deontay Johnson, from the second wide receiver spot. James Conner, they have a stable of solid backs, right? Like James Conner's probably the best of the bunch, but then they got a couple other guys back there that I think can help them carry the load. And Pittsburgh under Mike Tom, there's Tyreek Hill. No, who was it?
Are you playing against Tyreek Hill this week in fantasy? Is that where that?
I Tyreek Hill, but it wasn't him though. I thought it was him, and I put a bet on him for $10 to win $100 for him to catch the first touchdown, and the number was 11, and all I saw was the first one, and I got really excited, and then realized, no, it's not him.
Oh.
It's 11, who I believe is Sammy Watkins.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think. Or is it Mecole Hardman? I don't remember who's.
Hardman's 17.
It's been so long since I've watched football.
I know. It was actually such a nice pass by him.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so pretty.
But I don't know if this ball's down. That ball was moving the whole time. Incomplete. And it wasn't anybody. It's Robinson. That ball is moving. It hits the ground. It's incomplete. That will not be a touchdown. So my bet is still alive, baby.
Happy for you.
Still alive. Okay.
I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to sit here. Who knows what a catch is these days?
Yes.
Or any day, ever.
There was one replay you may not have seen where, like, from the other side, it literally is laying on the ground. I'm going to give – I think Pittsburgh makes it in as a wild card, which means I still have one wild card left. You have two left.
I can tell you where mine are.
Well, the Broncos.
So, did we go through all of the AFC teams? No, we didn't.
No, we got the AFC East. Which,
okay.
Listen, look, the storyline in the AFC East is what? There's no Tom Brady. Can New England continue its reign? I mean, is there really, though, another thing that people are like? No one cares about Miami because Ryan Fitzpatrick, no one really cares about
it depends how long he's going to, Fitz magic is going to last down there because they do have Tua and they're itching to put Tua in there, but they don't want to.
But the Jets are the Jets. What do you care about the Jets? Buffalo is a team, right, that showed promise last year. Can they take the next step? As they now, can Josh Allen? Yeah.
Yes.
Can Josh Allen take the next step? He's got Devin Singletary. He's got Zach Moss. He's got two really good running backs behind him. John Brown out there on the outside. Cole Beasley. Who's the other receiver they have there? Who am I missing? They just Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
Buffalo. So how that works out for them, and obviously under McDermott, their defense has been really stout. So I think that storyline is this the year that Buffalo dethrones the New England Patriots? And just judging off of what you're saying, I believe you believe that answer is yes.
Yeah. I 100% think that they're not going to win the division. I have no respect for Cam Newton because he has no respect for women. And I do think that he's going to come back a little bit, and I think they're going to be a wild card team, but I don't think they're winning that division at all.
Okay.
Because they didn't have enough skill players for Tom Brady to outright win the division without an end of season competition for it. So they didn't do much to put any extra weapons around Cam. They didn't, they signed Cam, but didn't do anything to, boost him up at all. It was just kind of, they plugged him in there, and you see what you get.
Yeah, you're right. As far as the weapons are concerned, Edelman is still your top wideout. You have the young kid, Harry. You don't know if he's going to take the step. My only thing that I think about with Cam Newton is Cam Newton's number one thing to me was always throwing the ball to the backs, little dump offs to guys like Christian McCaffrey. Well, now he's got James White, who's one of the best at that. It's so weird for me. Like, this is going to be the ultimate question. Was it Bill Belichick? Was it Tom Brady? Was it the both of them? And we're really going to find a lot of that out this year. I still think Bill Belichick is a really good coach.
Yeah, but he's not an offensive guy.
No, but I just mean overall in general for the team.
Sure. So
here's what and maybe part of me doing this is to just kind of go different than you so we have things to argue about throughout the season. But I'll say this. I do believe you get 2 playoff teams out of this division. I do believe it's New England and Buffalo, but I'm going to flip them. Where you have Buffalo winning the division, I'm going to have the Patriots sneaking another win and Buffalo getting the wild card. I'm sorry. As Brian Baker says, I hate the guy, but I trust in Belichick. How can you not?
No, he's spending too much time on Subway commercials. No. I think, they're one of my wild card teams, but I think that the Bills win that division. I think they have done everything to put talent around Josh Allen. Mm-hmm. They've got a really good defense up there as well. I mean, they automatically have 4 wins against the Jets twice and the Dolphins twice. And I think that they're what they showed against a team like the Texans last year in the playoffs, they've got a really good young team up there, and I'm excited to see where they go. I like that team. So they're my win for that division, 100%.
I don't think like that's very far off. I think they absolutely can.
100%.
I think it's a game separates the 2 teams.
Yeah, it's not going to be one of those outright they clinch it in week 9 kind of things that the Patriots used to do all the time. I think it's going to come down to the end again, but I think the Bills take that. But I still give the Patriots a wild card spot.
All righty, there we go. We have finished the AFC. My playoff teams were the Patriots and Bills, the Ravens and Steelers, the Colts and Titans, and the Chiefs. Jess, you want to reiterate what yours were?
Wait, I don't think you gave me all of yours.
Yeah, I gave you 7.
Oh, wait, I didn't write Colts down. That's why.
Yeah.
I have the Chiefs, Broncos sneaking in a wild card spot, the Texans, the Bills, the Ravens, the Patriots, and the Titans. I don't think the Colts sneak in.
And there is our AFC. So we now move it over to the NFC. We'll start out west and work our way back across the country to talk about our Philadelphia Eagles, their division, their first week matchup. So let's go through these 3 other divisions quickly. The NFC West, 49ers out there. I don't even know who the hell's still out there. The Rams are out there. The Cardinals are out there in Seattle, right? It's just those 4. They haven't changed that, have they? All right. I think do the 49ers suffer the Super Bowl loser, letdown season, or are they right back where they were last year? To me, is a question. I think the 49ers are a good football team. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is average at best. I think average at best.
He's about as average as Dak Prescott.
Oh, my God. Here we go.
And does not have a clutch bone in his body.
But I think their defense is very good. I think, Deebo Samuel, if he's healthy, is a good receiver. I love Brandon Ayuk, the kid they brought in the draft. It's weird. Their running back situation is weird because you got a lot of guys that are like good at one thing, maybe. With Raheem Mostert, you have Tevin Coleman, and I actually think you still have Jerick McKinnon floating around out there. So how that breaks down, I think if you were to say own one of those guys in fantasy, I think Mostert's the guy that you would want to own. I think he's going to have a little bit more in the offense, and obviously George Kittle. And that defense is stout, man. They're a good defense. They really, really are a good defense.
I just think they're beatable.
They're very
beatable.
Yeah.
So I think that they're going to win because I think Seattle doesn't really have any other than, obviously they have Russell Wilson and you always have a chance every week with Russell Wilson. But in terms of weapons, I mean, they've got DK Metcalf, and that's about it. Their defense, I mean, yeah, they traded for Jamal Adams, but, does he bring back the Legion of Boom by himself? No. So they're nothing. They don't excite me in any way. The Rams, I still think they're, the Rams, and Jared Goff, not great. They've had some injuries over time, and, they're also beatable. I think that's kind of my point is, yeah, they've got good players, but they're also very beatable. And I think the Cardinals are going to be better than expected. Yeah. That's a really tough division in terms of how close they can be. But I think the 49ers are going to win the division because the other teams, they don't overly excite you. But I don't think that they're going to really either go far or be a high seed or anything like that, because I think they are very beatable. And I think if you can stop their run and force Jimmy Garoppolo to beat you, he's not going to beat you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's as simple as that. They're a little too one-dimensional for them to constantly be this enormous threat. Like when you watch the Kansas City Chiefs, obviously they just won the Super Bowl, but you watch them play and they have so many different things that can hurt you, and a quarterback that can do so many different things and constantly surprise you. And they have all the weapons, and they can run the football when they choose to. They have so many different ways. You can't be like, let's isolate this one thing and force them to do this, and they won't be able to beat us. The 49ers stop the run game and make Jimmy Garoppolo beat you. And, if you got some fast receivers, you're going against their secondary. Yeah.
I think you kind of said it. The division's going to beat themselves up a lot.
Yeah. But it's a fun division to watch.
It's going to be a fun division to watch. I do believe you're going to get a wild card out of this division. I just think that there's too much talent not to. It's hard for me to pick. Like, I think the 49ers win the division. I'm with you there. I'm going to say Seattle gets a wild card. Russell Wilson just is just so dynamic, and now he's got the up and coming DK Metcalf, and I think that defense is serviceable enough. Like, they're not what they used to be, but they're still a good defense. That they'll get the wild card. The Rams are going to fight for one as well. Like, let me put it to you this way: would I be surprised if 2 wild cards came out of this division? No. I don't know if they will, because like we said, they're going to beat each other up, and so much that there's going to be losses on their record that other teams may not have. So I'm just going to stick for now with the 49ers and Seattle both make it to the playoffs out of this division.
Where's my list?
Jess, I asked you.
I got it. I think 2 of the 3 wildcard teams come out of this division.
You go in Seattle and the Rams?
Yeah, I think they both. I think just because it's one of those things where I think it's going to be very, very close, and I don't see any of the other divisions being that close.
I can't.
The only one that I think maybe is you're gonna. I don't know if you're gonna disagree with me heavily on one of my division winners, but I think that we'll get there.
Okay.
I guess we'll get there.
All right. So
you'll be shocked at one of the teams I actually have in here.
All right. So here we go. Let's go to the NFC. Let's go down the compass. We'll go over to the NFC South. The NFC South is Carolina, New Orleans, Atlanta, Tampa. This division was always an interesting one because of Drew Brees was there and Matt Ryan was there. And for a while, it was Cam Newton was there. But now Tom Brady's there. And this division is going to be fun, in my opinion, because you're going to have, like, week 1, 425, Drew Brees versus Tom Brady to start the season is awesome. I mean, it's just for people that grew up watching these 2 guys play. Now they're division rivals. Now they, could be 2 of the top. Look, I think this division is really good. I think there's 3 teams that are going to be really good. And then I think Carolina is going to be a solid team. I just think, Teddy Bridgewater, what are you going to get out of Teddy Bridgewater is my question there. So, to me, you got to go, will Tom Brady be the Tom we know without Bill?
No.
That's the question. And you say, hell no. So you don't think
hot take, they're not going to make the playoffs. They have dream team
I said this the other day.
all over them.
They signed Leonard Fournette. I said this is dream team.
Namdi Asamoah, dream team written all over it.
Yeah.
All over it.
The only difference here is two of their best offensive players are homegrown guys, are Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. You know, I don't think – huh? Yeah, but I don't think – I think Evans is going to be fine.
He's always hurt, though.
I understand.
Always.
I don't even look. To me, Gronk is an afterthought. Gronk is an afterthought for me. Like, I don't look at Rob Gronkowski as he's going to be this unbelievable player. If he is, it will stun me. I still think Tom Brady is pretty good. I think he's kind of good. My question is the Tampa
last year. I'm not sold.
How legit is the Tampa defense is going to be the question.
Who even goes for the Tampa defense?
What's that?
Like who's even there?
Who was my guy that I wanted the Eagles to draft? Antoine Winfield Jr. won the starting job out there.
JPP still down there?
With it, I mean, partially. He's missing some parts.
Yeah, just a few.
That's right.
Every 4th of July, I think about it. And I'm just like, how dumb do you have to be? Like it. I watch this year. I watch people set off fireworks, and I'm like, yo,
you're an idiot. You're an idiot. No, but here I'll be real quick with you. I think Carolina is going to be a good team. I do. I don't think they're going to be a playoff team. They're going to be improved. I think Tampa will be improved. I think they're going to be a solid team. I do think two teams is coming out of this division. Listen, it's one of those things with the New Orleans Saints. We can hate them all they want, but until someone does it, until someone shows me that they can handle the New Orleans Saints in that division, I'm going to give the New Orleans Saints a nod. Like it's very similar to me with the Patriots. I need to see it happen before I can pick against them. So I'm going to say the New Orleans Saints win the division. I expect they bounce back from the Atlanta Falcons this year. I think last year unraveled so quickly. I expect Todd Gurley not to be what we've seen of Todd Gurley in the past, but to be a much better version of than what we saw last year. Calvin Ridley as a number 2 wide receiver, he'd be a number 1 on so many teams, and now he's playing with – and they added a tight end that nobody's talking about in Hayden Hurst, who I think is going to be an excellent safety valve for Matt Ryan. I happen to like Atlanta this year. I think Matt Ryan has a nice year. I know you hate Matt Ryan. God forbid you say something nice about him because you hate him. But
sucks.
I have Atlanta getting the wild card, the Saints winning the division.
I have the Saints winning the division and no other teams coming out of this squad here.
So, okay. All right. Well, yeah, because you have 2 coming out. So I am really intrigued by you. All right. So let's go. Before we get to the NFC East, this is where I might just look and go, what the hell is happening? We're going to go to the NFC North. We're going to go up with the Green Bay Packers, the Minnesota Vikings, the Chicago Bears, the Detroit Lions. Jess, what's your storyline? Oh, I don't know which Johnson that was.
Kirk Cousins sucks. Mr. If I die, I die. Kirk Cousins. Idiot. Just such an idiot. I mean, they traded Stephon Diggs. Donnell Hunter's on the IR. They let Everson Griffin walk. Obviously, they got Yannick Ngakoue. But, what have they done to supplement their $80 million man? Absolutely nothing. And he's not good enough to make anything work without supplements. So he sucks and they're going to suck. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a bad year. I don't think the Packers are going to be good at all. Some of the guys on their defense that did the best things for them last year are no longer there. And the Bears also suck. I mean, Mitchell Trubisky is just terrible. Khalil Mack was talking about how they didn't play up to standard last year, but I mean, what is their standard? They were a team that same thing, they played really well the one year based on their defense and, fall from grace. I have the Detroit Lions winning this division. And I think that they've got some really good defensive players, even without Darius Slay, which thank you to them for trading him to us. But I also think that when healthy, Matthew Stafford is, one of the best in the league. And I think that they might actually be able to pull it together a little bit this year. They've got we saw it last year, right? Like, they were here and the Eagles looked like absolute crap, but they've got some good receivers out there. They've got some good young talent. And I would absolutely be willing to rely on Matthew Stafford to get them where they need to go. And especially in a division that is pretty wide open, I see them taking pretty good advantage of it. Now, I think the Packers are going to be one of those teams that could maybe sneak in instead of a third team in the West. So instead of, whether it be the Rams or the Seahawks in that, third place in the NFC West spot, maybe the Packers happen to have a better record just based on division play here and there. I think they're one that it might be close, but I think the Lions are going to win that division because the rest of the teams are not very good.
Well, Jess, as Cali Dream said, you're bringing the heat. And Jessica Town.
Yes.
I agree 100% with you.
Oh my God. That's nuts.
I think Detroit is primed to have a solid year. I mean, I think their weapons on offense are legitimate. I think people sleep on their tight end and TJ Hawkinson. DeAndre Swift, if he could stay healthy, is a nice 1-2 punch with Kerryon Johnson. Obviously, Kenny Golladay came into his own last year. Marvin Jones is a steady Eddie of a number 2 receiver, I think, as you can have in this league. And I think their defense is once again, I think that they are good enough to win a division that is, as you said, wide open. Mm-hmm. I don't think the Green Bay Packers are going to be terrible. I think they could possibly. I think it's going to be a battle between them and a team in the NFC East for that last wild card spot, to be very honest with you. But I really like Matt Stafford coming back this year. I really like this Detroit Lions team. I don't know how crazy I am about Matt Patricia as the head football coach.
I don't like Matt Patricia, but I think the rest of them.
But I think that they can win. And like you said, with the division being as open as it is, I think that this is a year for Detroit to pounce and kind of surprise some people and be that surprise NFC team that comes out and gets to the playoffs. So I'm with you 100% on that one. All right, so now we're going to move to our NFC East. We have the Birds, the football club, the Giants, and the Cowboys. Jessica?
No, I think it's team.
I like to call them the football. Yeah, I know.
No, they can't be football club because you saw that long list that one guy had trademarked. Washington Football Club was on that list, so they couldn't even get football club, which makes it better, which makes it funnier.
Listen, I think, and I think you would agree with me, I think this division is a 2-team race. I do not believe the Redskins will win more than 4 or 5 games, even if this week makes me nervous just because it's the first game of a season. There's no film on Ron Rivera and the Redskins. The Eagles' offensive line versus their defensive line, can be a little nerve-wracking from a consistency standpoint because they've been kind of hopping pieces all over the place. But regardless of any of that, I don't find the Redskins to be a contender. Will the Giants be improved from last year? Yeah.
Tired from running laps.
This is the year for Detroit to pounce. Rob, it was right there. Year for the Lions to pounce. Sigh. I missed it. I missed my moment. That could have been my damn catchphrase for the year.
You're a failure.
Wow. That went from 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah. I think the Giants are going to be tired from running too many laps in practice.
Yeah. Look, are they going to be better? Yes. They're not going to be a playoff team yet. So it comes down, and I think this is your big question. Eagles, Cowboys. Who's going to win it? Why are they going to win it? Who's the better football team? Jess, I'm going to let you start out our coverage here. I don't know why, because we all know what the hell you're going to say.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Eagles are going to win the division, but I also think it's going to be very similar to last year. It's going to come down to that Christmas weekend game, and we're going to see, who can will their team to a victory. It's obviously going to be Carson Wentz because Dakota does not have a clutch bone in his body. But I still think the Cowboys are going to take a wild card spot. I think the Eagles and the Cowboys will both end up in the playoffs. So I don't think for me, so here's kind of what I think. For the Eagles, I think that when I look at their schedule and I predict my wins and losses, I add it up and I get 12-4. Realistically, I think they're a 10-6 football team. Because I think there are a couple games in there that are like, I think there's a chance, we talked about it earlier, that, they don't pay enough attention to Joe Burrow and he comes out and smacks them in the face week 3. I think there's a chance for that. I think that, if they beat Washington, they then beat the Rams at home, they beat the Bengals, I think they do go out to California and they beat the 49ers on Sunday Night Football. I think they then go to, Pittsburgh and lay an egg. You know what I mean? If they lay an egg in Pittsburgh, I think they come home and they beat the Ravens. But if they lose on Sunday Night Football and then go beat the Steelers, I think they might come home and lay an egg against the Ravens. So I think there's a couple in there that you don't know. I think that the, I guess it's week 15 game against the Cardinals, that has 2019 Miami Dolphins written all over it. Especially because it comes after a really tough stretch where they play the Seahawks, they play the Saints, and then who they play after that? I don't remember. Actually, I have it written down right here somewhere. Give me a second. I do have it somewhere. Right here. They play the Seahawks on Monday Night Football. They play in Lambeau, and then they play the Saints the next week. Depending on how they do there, I absolutely think there's a chance they go to Arizona and fall flat on their face. Mm-hmm. So I think that there are a couple games that I know they're going to disappoint me where they shouldn't. It's just the way it is at this point, but I still think that they're good enough to win the division. And I don't think the Cowboys are any better. On paper, their skill position guys should be better. We know they're not. We know they don't perform that way. And I don't think that matters in terms of the division. I don't think on paper matters when it comes to the division. It doesn't matter when they play Washington. It doesn't matter when they play the Giants. It's always going to be a battle, and it's just going to be who executes better that Sunday. So I think that the Eagles are going to be the ones that end up kind of taking control of themselves and doing what they need to do to win the division. But I think the Cowboys also take a wild card spot. And not really sneak into a wild card spot, like kind of have one-handedly.
Okay. So as I was kind of going through the NFC East over the last couple of weeks, so I've really been going back and forth with myself here, like just about the NFC East in general, the Eagles, and one of the questions I rose to myself was, what was the last truly positive Eagles storyline, like that came out in the media, it came out in the news? And honestly, like I'm talking true positive storyline. And you know what it was, Jess?
What?
It was when they made the playoffs last year. And what I mean by that is this offseason has been filled with anger and frustration and stupidity and arrogance from the very beginning of the offseason. From the day that Doug Peterson came out and said these assistants are returning to the next day them being fired and him having to look like a jackass.
Well, did you see what that story that just came out?
I'm going to the next report, to the reports now that he's not even picking his own staff, to the draft that was an absolute friggin' debacle, to free agency where I think that they just left certain positions alone that they couldn't afford, such as linebacker. And then, to be honest with you, defensive end, to tell me that I got to ride with Derek Barnett again when I have no faith in him. And then it's the Jason Peters and the Zach Ertz situations of the last 2 weeks where they have bold-faced lied to their fan base. They could put it any way they want. Oh, Jason Peters came in the room. Well, the true story came out today. Your captain, Lane Johnson, decided to give up some of his contract so that Jason could get money. You were still going to allow your franchise quarterback to not have a left tackle protecting his blind side because you wanted to prove once again that you're smarter than everybody else. What you're showing me, what you're telling me, and I put this question on Twitter this past week, is you might have already in the back of your mind as a franchise started your move on from Carson Wentz. Your escape plan. You draft Jalen Hurts. You don't replace the left tackle. You're doing all this other nonsense. His favorite weapon, his best friend on the team, you're going to lowball this guy that I'm wearing his jersey tonight to support him. This is all a disgrace from this team. It's all a disgrace.
I mean, it goes back for years of the kind of, the kind of way that they have completely disregarded his relationships on the team. And it's, and obviously all of these guys understand that it's a business. They all get that. But to an extent, I mean, guys like, when they traded Jordan Matthews, that was a huge bummer for Carson. Obviously, it was to get Ronald Darby here, and Ronald Darby played really well for you in the first season, helped you win a Super Bowl. Great. When obviously Chris Maragos had a career-ending injury, but that was another, family that Carson Wentz and his wife were very close with that was all of a sudden gone. The Burtons were another family that they were really close with. The Hicks, Jordan Hicks, who don't even get me started on Jordan Hicks and how much he should still be here. But that's another person who Carson Wentz was very close with, and they've just disregarded that. And they keep doing it. So why? Like, I just don't understand. Yeah. And it's very similar to, we were talking about this last week with the different reports about, like for the Sixers with Ben and Joel kind of being in the room to have that final decision on who's going to be their head coach. The guys that you're paying the most money, who you hope to build your franchise around, you don't want them to be miserable and hate being here because, biased. This is the best sports city in the country. When it comes to the sports, you will not find anyone who is more passionate than Philadelphia fans. You won't. I'm sorry. Hate us all you want. Talk about throwing snowballs at Santa 27 years before I was even born. We are more passionate than anybody else in the world about their sports. The only rival maybe is soccer fans because they are nutty.
Yes.
Nutty. Yeah. But I don't understand the logic behind not prioritizing Carson Wentz. Like, what is the one thing they've done by listening to him? Bringing Josh McCown back to the practice squad so he can be in the quarterback room. What do you do?
And I'm going to respond to everything you just said. First, Brian Baker does bring up a good part. One of the very few positive storylines this offseason was Carson Wentz's leadership development, especially with the social issues and all the things.
Congratulations. Joe Santoliquito decided he wanted to kiss some ass and get back in some good graces. Okay.
Yeah, Joe Santoliquito can – never mind. Anyway, so here's –
that article.
Yeah, here's my problems. Okay, here's my problems. Number one, this is the – you have taken the portfolio out of the back of the crates at the Eagles organization home and are going back to the Joe Banner methodology of things. Screw relationships with guys that have meant a ton to your franchise. And you could say, oh, I was successful. Joe Banner's group did not win one title. Was it fun? Sure. But it wasn't fun losing in all those NFC championship games. That's number one. Number two, okay, you are straight getting caught in lies and being made to look stupid. This Jason Peters situation blew up in your face. You were allowing this until Lane Johnson and Carson Wentz and Jason Peters all came together and made this happen. That's two. Number three, and I'm so mad that I forget what I was going to say, but I'm going to get it back here. It's coming back. What was it? Jess, help me. No. Number three, about Doug Peterson. Now, I am okay with them getting better minds around him because, Jess, I think me and you have both said Doug is a better coach when there are good offensive minds around him. But going over his head with it, now we're talking about a friggin' power struggle in the organization. So you take all that into realm, right? You look at the roster, okay, that I still feel has some glaring holes and some glaring what-ifs, especially at the wide receiver position from a what-if standpoint. Is there speed? Yes. Are they ready? I don't know. So that's there, okay?
There's a lot more that goes into it, though. I had the same conversation. I mean, Sam and I talked about it on Babes the other day. We broke the whole thing down. And one thing that I totally forgot about, and Joe and I were talking about it yesterday, he said to me, he goes, you can't forget they traded for Marquise Goodwin. And he opted out. And I was like, oh, you're right.
But I'll be entirely honest with you. I didn't think Marquise Goodwin was going to make that big of a difference, to be perfectly honest with you.
Sure.
You're right.
And health is still going to be the biggest thing with this group.
Obviously not good right now. Yeah. Miles Sanders is still limited. Like, I don't know if he's playing Sunday. He's still been limited. So, we'll have to see about that. So I take all this into consideration, and I have come to this conclusion. I think the Eagles are a 9-7 football team. And honestly, I am pretty comfortable saying best case scenario, a 9-7 football team. Now, I don't think their worst case scenario is any less than 8-8. I think that's their range. 8-8, 9-7 football team. I think if they get to 9-7, I think they get the wild card. I do. I think they will get that third wild card. They will get the last one. Okay. And Jess, everything you said about Dallas is 100% warranted. They've been a paper champion. They haven't put it all on the field. They always come up short when it matters. Everything you said is 1,000% correct. There's one major difference. Is no longer there. Mr. Clapper is not the man heading the sidelines anymore. With that said, not that I believe Mike McCarthy is this end-all be-all, but he's a significant upgrade over Jason Garrett. Number two, the whole idea, well, it's a new coach. He kept the same offensive coordinator. So there won't be a learning curve on the offensive side. They're keeping that thing basically status quo. Number three, their offensive line is not where it was 3 years ago, but their offensive line is still really damn good. Number four, Zeke, whether we hate him, doesn't matter. When he gets on the football field and puts his pads on, he's an outstanding running back. Number five, with Amari Cooper already there, I think Michael Gallup is a very underrated wide receiver in this league. And let's not pull the old Eagles fan adage where now all of a sudden we're going to say CeeDee Lamb's no good when we wanted CeeDee Lamb for really, really, really bad. And I'm not saying me, you. I mean in general. Eagles fans, don't start hitting that, oh, CeeDee Lamb's overrated. No, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it. You all wanted the Eagles to trade up with the Falcons to get CeeDee Lamb. Don't now do revisionist. Don't do the revisionist history crap and change that. Lastly, they have improved that defense impeccably. Impeccably. They have the best linebackers in maybe the league. Their front four, in my opinion, is a front four that is is just as good as the Eagles, especially when you add Everson Griffin into that mix, and they're getting Randy Gregory back, and they have all kinds of guys on that defensive side of the ball. I think Dallas wins the division, but I think Dallas wins the division by 3 or 4 games. I don't think this is coming down. I think Dallas is a 12-4 football team this year.
I think that's certifiably insane.
Okay.
Because, again, they're beatable.
Everybody's beatable.
Okay, take Zeke away. And what do you have?
Well, yeah, but
Dak not able to be accurate and complete a pass.
I don't not see. I listen. I think
13 attempts for 47 yards with the division on the line.
And
13 attempts for 47 yards with the division on the line.
Look at that game.
More than 9 points.
We can look at that game all we want, but I'm not going to do it because it's a new year, and at some point, I'm not saying that I had this.
Year and the Eagles actually have starters again.
I went on to a Dallas podcast and talked about the whole NFC East. And I said it. I do not believe Dak Prescott is better than Carson Wentz. No. And I will never say that Dak Prescott is better than Carson Wentz. But I, unlike you, can say that Dak is a good quarterback. I believe with the weapons he has around him, it's going to be this offense is going
He
to
has to actually utilize them appropriately, and I don't think that he is able to do it.
And look, we'll see. We'll see. I just think Philly Eagles fans, in my humble opinion, prepare for a season of anger.
Oh, don't patronize Eagles fans. No one's preparing for a season of anger. Stop it.
How good
You prepare for a season of anger all on your little sad island by yourself over there.
So let's talk quickly, Jess, about this week's game. Or should we? Do you want to make our Super Bowl prediction first and then get to that?
Sure.
Or would you rather save the Super Bowl prediction?
Let's save the Super Bowl prediction because I haven't actually made one yet.
Get on it. No,
I know. I thought about that earlier, and I was like, I should do this. And then I was like, I don't know what happened.
So Eagles Redskins this week, on paper, you look at it, you say, Eagles win. And they should win. They should win. But first game of the season, a totally new atmosphere to play in, playing against a team with a brand new coaching staff, with a front four that is really, really, really good. I don't think that this is going to be a runaway victory that most, let's say, overzealous Eagles fans are going to be hoping for, and they're going to snap when it's not an over-the-top victory. Jess, do you see this being a blowout, or do you think it's one of those ugly Eagles games?
I think it's going to be ugly to start, and then the Eagles are going to shake the dust off pretty quickly and figure it out. I think that the offense will do what they need to do to handle that defensive line, whether it be throwing in 2 running backs or whatever they need to do to make sure keeping Dallas Goedert on the edge of the line, throwing Zach Ertz in there a little bit more as well from a blocking perspective. At the end of the day, you got Deshaun Jackson running up against Ronald Darby, and I'm taking Deshaun Jackson every day of the week and about 3 or 4 times on Sunday at least.
I had to make a bet with Mr. Crockpot because he's like the biggest Greg Ward fan in the world. And we all love Greg Ward, but he's got this idea that Greg Ward is going to be just terrific all year. So I told him, I said, if Greg Ward is the leading receiver for the Eagles this week, I will buy a Greg Ward jersey and I have to wear it every single game for the rest of the season. Now, our man Prince said that he was going to put Greg Ward's kids through college if Greg Ward was a leading receiver. I
just think I love Greg Ward, and I'm so happy he finally made the roster. My only concern is when we had nobody but, people who were bagging groceries the week before, when we had nothing left, when the Eagles were at rock bottom, he was the shining light that we all had hoped for.
Yeah.
But when he's when he's the guy and is expected to make these plays, it's not just exciting. It's not just, oh yeah, that's a great play, we needed that. It's you are expected to make that play every time the ball is coming your way. I just hope he can handle that.
You know who Greg Ward is? And I don't say this saying that I had the same feelings towards Greg Ward as I do this man.
Who?
Greg Ward is Robert Covington. And what I mean by that is Greg Ward is the guy that's shining when there's no one else on the team with him as just this unbelievable basketball player. The fact of the matter is he's good, but he's not what people want to make him out to be. I agree. Listen, I think the Eagles will win. I think my prediction on Party on Broad this week was 27-20. I said, it was going to be one of those games, and maybe the Eagles lead by 2 with 3 minutes to go, 2 scores with 3 minutes to go, and Washington scores a touchdown, but doesn't recover the onside kick type of thing. So I'm going to stick with that. I say the Eagles win 27-20. How about you?
I think they win 30 to, I forget what I wrote down already. 30-21. I like to keep my score predictions consistent throughout all the shows. So 30-21, I think they win. I think they struggle a little bit in the first half. They just need to, get their ish together, and they'll be fine. And it'll be a fun game to watch. We'll enjoy ourselves on Sunday. But I do think it a few questions going in for sure. I hope they don't disappoint me, but I don't expect them to. I think it should be fine.
Yes, I think the Eagles offense will do just enough. I think all offenses are going to start slow across the league. I mean, I'm watching Houston and Kansas City right now. It's 7-7 midway through the second quarter. There's been some punts, not guys dropping pay. I just think the offense is going to be a little slow to get started. But yeah, all right, Jess, real quick, just a couple other games we'll talk about our prediction.
Dude, run through your list of NFC playoff teams again, because I don't think I got that the full confirmed list.
I'm going to go Dallas and the Eagles.
I'm
going to go Detroit. I'm going to go down south. I'm going with New Orleans and Atlanta. And then I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers and Seattle.
Okay.
They're my 7.
Wanted to make sure I had them all confirmed. So you have the Bucs missing the playoffs too?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
I think the Bucs are going to be better. I don't think that Tom Brady makes them a Super Bowl contender like everyone wants to believe.
No.
Would I be surprised if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers made the playoffs this year? No, because if Tom Brady's clicking with these receivers and the defense is playing well, but I'm not all gung ho on Tampa Bay. I just think they're going to be a better team than they were last year. That's basically it.
Fair enough.
So the Sunday night game is the Rams at Dallas. Interesting matchup to start the season. Is it at Dallas or is it at LA?
I don't know the answer to that question.
You know what? I feel like it's got to be at LA. LA's opening their new stadium, even though there's no fans. I feel like they're going to want that game there.
Yeah, they're in LA.
They're in LA. So the Dallas travels to LA Sunday Night Football. Jess, who you got?
Oh, I got the Rams, please. I'm not taking Dallas.
Yes. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
For 16 weeks, are you going to pick against Dallas in every one of those weeks?
Yes.
You will not pick Dallas to win one game this year.
No.
I hate you.
I can't bring myself to do it. I also think I don't know. I don't think it's going to click week 1 for them. I don't.
I don't necessarily disagree with you in week 1. You're traveling out west. It's an empty stadium. You got a new coach. Can everything roll according to plan in week 1? Maybe not. Listen, this is one of those years where a loss in week 1, you got to be very careful how you respond to that as a fan of any team. If your team loses in week 1, it doesn't mean the season. This is a weird year. All right, so I do think Dallas probably loses this game. I'm gonna pick the Rams as well. The Monday night game. Oh no, are they? Yeah, the Monday night games. Who are they? Pittsburgh and New York, and Denver. And do you have the schedule up? Is that what you're looking at?
I'm looking it up right now.
You're trying to go.
Monday 9/4. That Sunday or Monday's the 14th, right? It's the Steelers at the Giants and the Titans at the Broncos.
Titans at the Broncos.
Yes.
So if I don't think anyone is picking the Giants to beat the Steelers in this one, are you?
Absolutely not.
No. Titans out in Denver. Does Denver put themselves on the map right away in week 1 with a win?
I think they do.
I do too. Jess, we have never picked all 4 games together, I feel like.
I think we might have, and I think you yell at me every time because it's boring.
Yeah, but that's okay. I'm not going to yell at you. This is impressive.
Isn't it also really freaking cold in Denver right now? It was 95 degrees the other day, but that overnight they were expecting 6 to 10 inches of snow.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. They had it was literally 94 degrees in the afternoon, and they were expecting snow overnight up to 10 inches. Let me see what the temperature is like in Denver right now. Currently, it's 52 degrees in Denver. But Monday it's supposed to be gorgeous. So, but at night it's getting chilly again. So who knows? It'll be a toss up.
All right, Jess. It's that time for the way too early, stupid, we're never right, Super Bowl prediction. Jess, I will let you go first.
Okay, so I think the Chiefs are going to be in the Super Bowl again. I don't see anybody able to match that would be able to match the caliber at which they play. I also, if it comes to a shootout, it doesn't matter who it is. I'm taking Patrick Mahomes every time.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the person I want to pick the Eagles, but realistically, there's not a team that I love for out of the NFC for the Super Bowl. Like there's not one that I feel super great or confident about. So
Fair.
I'm just going to go with the Saints because I think they're the team that I expect to perform the best.
Mhm.
But there's not a team that I look at and I'm like, this is a Super Bowl team. I don't see that in the NFC, to be completely honest.
Austin has to just dig into us a little bit here.
God, I hate you. I hate this guy so much.
All right. Well,
Really, I love you, Austin. Pay Zach Ertz.
yeah.
For the love of God.
Keep that hate in him, please. I teased in the beginning of the show that by the end, I was going to be on many a hit list in the Delaware Valley. And I'm sure that many of you thought that moment has already come and went when I picked Dallas to win the division. But what are you going to do? I am going to go with the Ravens in the AFC. I do think the Chiefs are still very good. I just think the Ravens are on that unfinished business tour to get out. And I'm going to tell you that I have done everything in my power, Jessica Town. I'm
going to leave.
I've done everything in my power to not say what I'm about to say. I've tried to talk myself out of it. I've seen a therapist about it. I've meditated on it. I've talked to my 1-year-old son about it to think maybe one of his babbles would come out. No, I've done every possible thing I could do. And I'm going to make a prediction here today that is going to make me throw up for the next 4 months. The only thing that's going to make me feel good about this prediction is normally my Super Bowl predictions are way off. I am not only predicting the Dallas Cowboys to get to the Super Bowl, but ladies and gentlemen, I'm predicting a dark winter for us all. I am predicting a winter where cockroaches infest our streets, where we're going to be dealing with the flu, COVID, and cockroaches, as the Dallas Cowboys are the Super Bowl champions.
So I think you need to take that jersey off right now because you are a disgrace to the jersey. All of the pictures around your basement need to be taken down and placed face down because you are a disgrace to all of them. And you should be ashamed for calling yourself an Eagles fan. And I agree with Chris. You are canceled. We're no longer partners until further notice. I'm quitting. This is disgusting.
This is where I need.
No. You don't get to try to defend this absolute buffoonery.
I need an exorcism, Jess. And honestly, the only exorcist or the person to exorcise me I want is you, Jess. It has to come from you. So when we take to the show next week, you have got to come with a plan that pulls this demon that is literally churning in my stomach out of me. I don't like this. I don't like the way I feel.
We'll watch them lay an egg on Sunday Night Football and you'll feel better about yourself. Maybe not about yourself. You should feel like crap about yourself right now. You should feel horrible.
Just, it's been a battle.
You are a failure. I take back my trying to be – you're a failure. You're a failure as an Eagles fan. I hate you. I don't hate you, but I have a very strong hatred towards you right now.
So I think the poll, Jess, that you should put up this week is how many people have Rob on their hit list after he chose Dallas. You got to put it on Twitter. You got to get it out there on Twitter because I need to be berated publicly right now. And the only way that happens –
You're asking to be publicly shamed? I can handle some public shaming.
Put a poll up to shame my ass into making a change of heart pick next week.
Great. I am more than capable of shaming people publicly on social media, and I'm more than happy to do so for their idiotic statements they make.
Well, listen, with that,
Good Lord.
We're going to end the show here. We're going to end the show the way we brought it in. We're going to play our little montage here put together by thank you, Mr. Crockpot, for this wonderful intro, and we're going to use it as an outro as well. Well, actually, it doesn't work as an outro because they're saying now introducing. So we're not going to play as an outro. I lied. But enjoy football this week.
Stupid pills just start with you picking the Cowboys to win, and it all goes to hell in a handbasket from there.
I cannot deny anything you're saying in this moment. But enjoy football this weekend. It may not be the way we thought, but it's still football. It's still a Sunday's worth of just sitting down, drinking some beer, watching the games. Go Birds. Fly, Eagles, fly. Jess, have a great week. Check out Babes on
Go Birds.
Check out Babes on Broad. It drops tomorrow. You can catch this tomorrow if you missed it.
Special announcement tomorrow for Babes on Broad, too.
Whoa! You can tell me off the air. I want to know.
I will. I'll tell you.
All right. So until then, everybody, go Birds. Embrace the madness. Have a great week.